Hello, I'm so happy you're here for this video. After some time immersing my heart and mind into a more accurate direction as a spirit-led mentor, from now on, most of my content and work will concentrate on being a beacon for women 50 plus who are experiencing a monumental shift and are ready to establish themselves in their authentic identity, holding your past up to the light to integrate it into a more excellent future. Meanwhile, subscribe and stay tuned for more in-depth content in each video. Okay, let's get started. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly thought, something about my life doesn't feel like me anymore? Not that anything is necessarily wrong. You've handled responsibilities, you've taken care of people, you're done, you've done what life asked of you. But somewhere along the way, the woman underneath all those roles started to feel harder to find. If you've ever had that feeling, you're not alone. In fact, many women reach a stage in life where they quietly realize they've been living from a survival stance instead of peace, and they didn't even know it. Today, I want to talk about why that happens and how women begin finding themselves again. For many women, life slowly becomes built around responsibility. You become the one who people rely on. You're the one who keeps things organized, the one who holds everything and everyone together, the one who handles problems. Those roles matter. They're important. Families depend on them. Careers and communities depend on them. However, something subtle can happen over the years. The roles start to take up more space and emotional energy. Then your own personal identity quietly moves into the background, not because you did something wrong, but because life asked a lot from you and you stepped up. So years pass in this rhythm of showing up and doing what's needed until one day something shifts internally. Maybe life slows down a little. Maybe you feel done with your career. The kids grow up, a season changes, and suddenly there's space to notice something you didn't have time to notice before. And the question appears, what have I been doing all this time, and who the heck am I? That question is incredibly important because it's often the beginning of awakening. To understand this more deeply, we need to talk about something most of us were never taught: your nervous system. Your body is designed with built-in survival responses. Most people know about fight or flight, but there are actually a few different ways our system responds when life becomes overwhelming. There's fight, there's flight, there's freeze, and there's another one that shows up a lot in women, and that's accommodation. Accommodation is when you adjust yourself constantly in order to keep things running smoothly. You anticipate everyone's needs. You manage emotions in the room. You make sure everything keeps functioning. Now, here's the surprising part. A lot of very capable, high functioning women get incredibly good at operating inside these survival states. They still get things done, they still show up, they still lead, care, organize, and manage. So from the outside, it just looks like they're strong. However, internally, their nervous system may still be operating in a survival mode. They need to keep things running smoothly and organized, since that's an indication that everything will be okay. And isn't that what we want most of the time? We want to know that everything will be okay. That's your brain keeping you safe. Since life keeps moving forward, the stress just gets labeled as, well, that's just life. But survival mode was designed for temporary situations. It was meant to help us get through a difficult moment, not live there for 20 or 30 years. When survival mode lasts forever or for years, forever, something critical happens. Life decisions start getting made from pressure instead of alignment. You're not ever asking, what feels true for me? You're asking, what needs to be handled next? or what's on the list that I need to do and check off. Again, that's not failure. That's just you being responsible, satisfying your brain's need to keep you steady and secure. Over time, constantly responding to pressure can slowly disconnect you from your inner life. You stop checking in with your spirit. You stop asking what actually nourishes you. And eventually, a kind of restlessness begins to show up, not because life is wrong, but because something deeper inside you is longing to be heard again. Another really important part of this conversation is understanding the difference between roles and identity. Roles are what you do: leader, mother, partner, caregiver, provider. All of those things are meaningful, but they're still roles. They are parts of your life, not the entirety of who you are. Your deeper identity, what I believe is your soul identity, is the part of you that exists beneath all of those functions. It's your inner truth, your spirit. It's the essence of who you were created to be. The thing to recognize about soul identity is this: it does not disappear when life gets busy. It just waits quietly until there's finally enough space for you to hear it again. Eventually, many people reach a moment where a new question begins forming inside them. It's a really beautiful question. It sounds like this: what would my life look like if my spirit was leading it? If my soul was able to express itself, your mind and your heart were able to express themselves through everything you do, and that you wouldn't get swallowed up in your tasks. No pressure, no obligation, and it's not survival. That's often when spiritual curiosity begins. You start reflecting more deeply. You start asking bigger questions about meaning, about purpose, about alignment, and something really interesting begins to happen. Peace starts showing up. Not big dramatic peace, quiet peace. Your body relaxes in ways it hasn't in a long time. You stop feeling like you need to anticipate every possible problem. You begin to feel curious about your life and what to expect from your future. Decisions begin coming from clarity instead of urgency, and life slowly begins to feel less like something you're constantly managing and more like something you're actually living. One of the most beautiful truths many women discover later in life is this: you can reclaim your identity. You are not too late. You are not behind, and you are not starting over. When you choose to move forward, you are starting from experience. Everything you've lived through, all the love you've given, all the responsibility you carried, none of that erases who you are. If anything, it refined you and gave you a rare filter to see life differently. Reclaiming yourself later in life isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the truest parts of who you've always been. Although now with wisdom, with perspective, and with the freedom to finally let your spirit lead. For many women, that becomes the most powerful chapter of your life. If you'd like to know more, I'm happy to send that to you when you email Gina T Coach Team at gmail.com with authentic identity in the subject line. Check the show notes and comments, and that information will be there. Meanwhile, I appreciate and love you all for listening and supporting this channel. And as always, live excellently, give generously, love lavishly. Until next time, ciao.